Yehudim Moisa Bavada Dam Simcha Besasariga Yehudim Moisa Bavada Dam Simcha Besasariga Yehudim Moisa Simcha Besasariga Yehudim Moisa Bavada. Okay, page 31. So we're talking about, by the way, just to remind you all that on Wednesdays, this class is going to be given by David Steinberg, who's going to be teaching Reb Shlomo's Niguna correctly. Okay. So Wednesday night, yeah. I'm saying, but this the 12:30 class. I mean, you're going to be by the Fink, I believe, right?
Wait, Rabbi Finks, the Reb?
Yeah.
He gives a class.
Yeah.
Where's that?
With the Smicha guys.
The Smith. Okay, what time is that?
It's at 12:30. I mean, he gives a class here at 11:10. It's open to the public, and the other one is for the Smicha students at 12:30.
At
11:10 here.
At night?
No.
In the morning? In the morning?
Yeah.
That's every day?
No, Wednesdays.
Wednesday. Okay, cool. Check that out. Yeah. I'm like new. I don't know anything. Actually.
Nice.
Okay. So this particular lesson has been about pretty much about being real, right? And that he started out by saying that all emotions that we experience were created by God, and that there's no emotion that is bad. It's just that everything needs to be used in its proper place, right? So you have to have pride in its proper place. You have to have humility in a proper way. If you're saying, oh, that something needs to be done, but who am I? I'm not good enough to do this. That could very well be humble, false humility and being abused, being misused rather. On the other hand, if you have pride and you think that you're better than somebody else, you're misusing pride. But you need to have pride to know yourself and to be yourself. I saw yesterday in Reb Steinsaltz's commentary on the Torah, he says that Sefer Vayikra is one way to sort of one running theme that runs through the whole Vayikra is the union of Kedusha, holiness. But not just holiness in terms of the sacrificial services and the things that you do in the shul and the things that you do in the Beit HaMikdash, but everything in your life. It's all about being holy, and gives an example that in this week's parsha speaks about somebody who stole. He has to bring not only does he have to make amends to the person that he stole from, he also has to bring a sacrifice to God. And Rashi explains, because even though it's a sin between man and man, but when you sin between man and man, you're also sinning against God. Going a bit deeper, it's like there's an image of every one of us up in Shemayim, what you look like in heaven, right? And then we're down here, and so you're coming from a place of holiness, and is my image in this world matching my image in Shemayim? We have to have the pride or the holy chutzpah to say, wait a minute, I want to be the same as I am in Shemayim. I want to be like that down here too, So then Reb Shlomo went on to talk about, it's all about a Molech, that a Molech is all about sadness and it's real evil, and even like the real evil people are just as sophisticated as anybody else. They wear the same cologne as anybody else, and maybe even more expensive ones. And the fact that they're sophisticated and they have manners, then if someone says yes, so the Germans would say to the Jews as they were pushing us into the gas chambers, they were saying, "Please move ahead, please move ahead." Like, why are you saying please? Like, right? So Purim, we're celebrating no more evil whatsoever, right? And that means not just the vulgar evil that none of us could stand, but no more evil whatsoever, even the slightest evil, even the evil of being polite without meaning it. Hi, how are you? Please don't tell me. Right?
America.
Right? Okay, so, and then he went on to talk about the issue, we spoke about it yesterday, the issue about, altruistic love, which is very, very difficult to achieve, right? But that's what that's what's expected of Jewish souls, right? Now, we're on 31. What happens when you're drunk? When you're drunk, you have strange imagination. דמיון התכונה הכי קדושה שהשם נתן לנו, the character trait, the holiest character trait that God gave us is he had dimyon, is imagination. Dimyon kadosh, holy imagination. בפורים אנחנו משתכחים, on Purim we get drunk, ואנחנו ממש מדמיינים את הדברים הקדושים ביותר בעולם. Now, we're talking about being wholly drunk, right? In other words, and what happens is that you imagine the holiest things in the world. אנחנו מדמיינים, we imagine שאין רע בעולם, we imagine a world without evil. זו הדרגה הגבוהה ביותר ששיכור יכול להגיע אליה. That's the highest level that a drunkard can get to. הזמן הקשה ביותר לחשוב על השם הוא הזמן שאתה אוכל. The time that is hardest to think about God is when you're eating, right? There's expressions about that. Like, when I'm eating, everything is dead. Everything else is, it's true. Like, go look around. Like, when people are eating, like, what are they thinking about? And we're thinking about our bodies. When people eat, generally speaking, we're really thinking about ourselves. Because we're busy feeding our bodies. It's difficult to think about God when you're praying, right? But it's not that difficult, right? I mean, the fact of the matter is that when we're davening, we're constantly being invaded by other thoughts, right? And I told you the story that this student became a chosed of the Chosed of Lublin. The Chosed of Lublin was known as the Chosed because he had extraordinary vision, spiritual vision. He could read your mind, he knew what you were thinking about, and so on. And so his friend was asking him, like, what do you need to be a chosed for? What do you get out of it? So he was explaining all kinds of things to him, and then one day he says to him, he says, my Rebbe is so holy, he knows what's going on, he knows what you're thinking, etc., etc. So he says, okay, so good, so that's great, but what do you get out of it? Do you learn how to do that too? So he says, well, it rubs off on us a little bit. So he says, really, let's see. Tell me, what am I thinking about? He closes his eyes and he thinks, and he says, you're thinking about God. So he says, no, I'm not. He says, that's why you better come to my Rebbe. Right, did you hear that, Jordana? He says, you're thinking about God. So he says, no, I'm not. So he says, well, that's why you better come to my Rebbe. Good lady, a book. So, right, to think about Hashem while you're eating is like really something awesome. So he says generally, it's difficult to think about Hashem when you're davening, but it's possible. It's hard, but you can do it. But the more you're eating, you're thinking less about God. However, Purim, we get to such a high level. We're eating all day long. We're drinking all day long. And the way we're understanding God, we're understanding God in a way that we never understood Him. And Purim, I understand that there's one God, that Hashem is one, in a way that I don't understand it all year long. And we're not achieving this through learning on Purim, and not even by speaking, but rather we're understanding the oneness of God even through eating and drinking. By giving each other mishloach manot and gifts to the poor. There's no other day at all where there's such a great light that is flowing down to us that inspires us so much to want to come back to God, to come close to God. It's not just that I want to do what God wants, that I want to do God's will. Your seat is here. Your chair is here. That's where you sit all the time. So Lo Rak Shani רוצה לעשות רצון Hashem, second last line on 31. It's not just that I want to do what God wants, to do God's will. Lo Rak Shani רוצה לעשות משהו נכון, it's not just that I want to do what's right. Lo Rak Shani רוצה לעשות את תפקידי בחיים, it's not just that I want to fulfill my mission and purpose in life, but rather Yom Echad B'Shana, page 32, is one day of the year. אני רק רוצה להיות כל כך קרוב להשם. I just want to be close to God. אם אני רוצה להיות קרוב להשם, if I want to be close with God, אני גם יכול לאכול ולשתות, I can eat and I can drink, אני יכול להיות חצי שיכור ולאכול כל היום, I can be half drunk and eat all day long. זה פשוט לא משנה, it doesn't make a difference. I can do it even while I'm eating and drinking. אם הלב שלי בוער, if my heart is on fire, and I just want to be close to God. The biggest evil in the world is the biggest evil in the world is when we keep distant, when we stay distant from one another. But Purim, there's this great light that is shining, that we realize that, like, wow, we can be so close with each other. Right? And in Derech Mitzvotecha from the Tzemach Tzedek, where he talks about the mitzvah of Ahavta L'Reacha Kamocha, love your fellow like yourself. So he gives the example somebody's, let's say, slicing a piece of bread, and he wasn't careful, and he's got the knife in one hand and he cuts his finger in the other hand. So what would you say if the fellow would then take the knife and transfer the knife to the left hand and say, okay, you got cut, now take revenge and cut the right hand? You'd say, like, you're out of your mind, right? Why? Because it's one body. It's one, right? And so we really are all one, but we don't see it. We don't recognize it usually. And one of the special things about Purim is that the holy light that is shining on Purim is such that it makes it, you see, it's so much easier to see how much we're connected with each other. Okay, so, there's, in the Megillah, have you guys read the Megillah yet this year? You should read the Megillah before Purim. You should learn it, and read it. So when Mordechai tells Esther, when Mordechai tells Esther, okay, you have no choice now, you've got to go and tell the king the truth about yourself, that you're Jewish, and you're going to have to go and seduce him. Now, Esther, according to, I think it's pretty widely accepted in the Gemara that Esther was actually married to Mordechai. And when she was taken, so she was basically, tragically, like, she was being raped by Achashverosh, in the sense that, in other words, she wasn't there willingly. The Gemara says that she made herself like the earth of the world, like just like a piece of, like a clump of earth. And all this time she kept it a secret that she's, who she really is. And then when there was no other choice, and we had to annul the decree, and Mordechai says to Esther, you're going to have to go and deal with Achashverosh personally to get the decree annulled. And so she says to him, like, he's pretty much rejected me. He no longer, he no longer was sleeping with her. And Mordechai said, you're just going to have to go. And halachically speaking, Esther was giving up her, once she was going to go willingly to Achashverosh, she was basically giving up the possibility of her staying married with Mordechai. And she was also giving up her Olam Haba. It was total Mesirat Nefesh, total devotion for the Jewish people. And Psalm 22 is attributed to Esther as the psalm that she said that night before she went to Achashverosh. The end was that she didn't have to sleep with him, but in the meantime she went. And so she tells Mordechai before going, she says, Lech knoset kol haYehudim, go and gather all the Jews together, vitzumu alai, and fast with me and for me, so that I should be successful. And we fasted that year, we fasted for 3 days, So the Sfat Emet, the Ger Rebbe, says a beautiful teaching. He says that when the convert came to Hillel, and he said to Hillel, convert me on the condition that you teach me the entire Torah while I'm standing on one foot. Right? So you think that guy was an idiot or something like that? Like, did he really believe that you could learn the Torah standing on one foot? I mean, how long can you stand on one foot? Like, like an hour or 2 hours? Like, what? Okay, 3 hours.
No, 30 minutes.
30 minutes, right? I mean, how much can you learn? How much can you learn in 30 minutes, right? So despite the math, you can learn everything, right? You could. If you learn it properly, you could learn the entire Torah just by knowing one letter of the alphabet.
Didn't he go to Shammai?
Huh? He went to Shammai, and Shammai chased him away.
Okay.
So he let's wait for him. Make it fast, Ariel. Ariel. It's one of those angels that you mentioned in that song, Hashem, right? The light of God. So somebody coming in or not? What do you need?
Thank you.
Ah, that's right. That's all. That's why you came. Okay. So, so Shammai chased him away. What a chutzpah! Like, you want to learn the Torah while you're on one foot. But when he came to Hillel, Hillel said to him, "That which is hateful to you, don't do to others." This is the entire Torah. The rest is commentary. Does anybody remember the last few words?
No, go and do it.
Go and study, right? Zil Gemara. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people do. They don't remember.
They forget that.
On purpose. So he says like this. He says that. Oriel, can you give me that piece of paper that's lying there? Yeah, that's it. So he says like this. Okay, thank you. Now, let's assume that the guy wasn't an idiot. Okay. Some of you already know this. Shlomo says that when he said, "Teach me the entire Torah while I'm on one foot," the Talmud, there's a teaching in the Talmud that says like this: Emet has feet, truth has feet to stand on, and Sheker does not have feet to stand on. Remember this, Jordana? Right? So if you look at the word Emet, right, you see each letter has two legs, right? So Emet has what to stand on. If you look at the word Sheker, each letter just has one leg, and then on top of that you have the Kuf. It's got a long leg, right? So how long can something stand on one leg? So when he's saying to Hillel, I want to convert on the condition that you teach me the Torah standing on one foot. He's saying to him, can you teach me the Torah in such a way that I will be able to keep it in the world of lies? Mm-hmm. This world is known as Alma de Shikra, the world of lies. Okay? This is the world in which you can deny the existence of your creator. You could lie, or you could I can say, oh, I like your shirt and I can't stand it, it's the world of lies, right? So the convert is saying to him, that I want to learn the Torah, but can you teach it in a way that I'll be able to keep it in the world of one leg, of the world of lies, right? So here, stand up on one leg.
You're gonna teach me the Torah?
Stand on one leg, yeah. Come over here. Okay, now, how long is he going to stand on one leg?
5 or 10 seconds.
And I'm standing on one leg, right? I'm standing on one leg, right? But now, look at this.
If you were a pirate, you could stand on one leg for a
Now
long
we can stand like this for a long time.
They generally have.
So Hillel says to him. Hillel says to him, "There's only one way that you're really going to be able to keep the Torah in this world of lies, and that's going to be with V'ahavta l'reacha kamecha. By yourself, you're not going to be able to." Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's how the Sfat Emet explains it. When Esther said, "Go and gather all the Jews together," that she's saying the salvation is not going to come just by me going to Achashverosh. The salvation is going to be coming from all of us being together. Okay. So he says, let's go to page 33. Ra Chidush. Ra. Okay, that was just to summarize what we finished on page 32. The idea of being together, right? Okay, Ra is Tamid Chadash. Evil is always new. Nidamien la'atzmeinu, he's going to explain. Imagine, she'im ata oseh mashu lo tov. Let's say you did something not good. when you swear to yourself that you're never going to do it again, why does evil come to you again the next day? Right? You went to this party and this was like bad, and you say, I'm never going to do that again. And then tomorrow the phone rings and we get another invitation to something like that, right? Stories, Past life. Right? So why does evil come and right? The Yetzer Hara came and said, hey, come on, show them, like, I'll take you I'll show you a good time, right? And then I come home and say, that was terrible, and I don't want to do that ever again. And then he comes back tomorrow, right? So he says that Shuvah Pshuta Ma'od, the answer is very simple. Hara hu chadash kol hazman, because evil always appears new. It's always like new. Lara yesh chidush. Evil has newness. Echata lochem neged hara. So how? Right, I'm sorry. Lara yesh chidush. Evil always thinks of some new angle. Echata lochem neged hara. So how do you fight against evil? Bechidush yoter gadol. By coming up with a greater chidush, with a greater aspect of newness. The chidush maximali ba'olam, with the greatest newness in the world. Bepurim Hashem noten lanu et hachidush hakadosh. God gives us holy newness, chidush anak, giant newness. He's going to explain. אני ממש מתחיל הכל מההתחלה, starting from the beginning. ביום כיפור, כמה שאנחנו קדושים, on Yom Kippur, as holy as we are, אנחנו עדיין מדברים על מה שעשינו אתמול. Yom Kippur, we're talking about what we did yesterday. זה עדיין לא לגמרי חדש, so it's not really so totally new. בפורים, אני לא מדבר על מה שקרה אתמול. פורים, I'm not talking about what I did yesterday, or what happened yesterday. אני אפילו לא מדבר על מה שיקרה מחר. I'm not even talking about what's going to happen tomorrow. אני רק פה, I'm just here. מדוע אנחנו לא נוהגים כמו שבאמת צריכים יהודים להתנהג? Why aren't we behaving the way Jews are really supposed to behave? בגלל שיש רע שאומר לנו, because there's this evil that says to us, שעכשיו זה עולם חדש, that it's a new world, right? America, new world, right? Rabbi Riskin once said that he's sure that if you would send a diver down to the bottom of Ellis Island, and Ellis Islands where all the Jewish immigrants arrived, he says he's sure that you'd find, if they still exist, thousands and thousands of pairs of tefillin and shekels and so on, because as the Jews were arriving to America, they were already being told, this is a new world, shed your Yiddishkeit. How many of you have pictures at home of your grandparents or great-grandparents, and the Bubba's wearing a tichel, and the great-grandfather's is sitting there with a beard, and right? And then what happened, like, just on my last trip, I was sitting with a Jew in Miami, and his grandfather was a rabbi, and he says they came to America, and they shed it in one generation. The whole thing was shed. Now it happens to be that his two sons have become big-bellied children, But he says he didn't get anything from his parents, They just, it was like, it's a new world. You don't want to have pogroms anymore. Like, be like everybody else. Right?
That generation after the people came over was called the lost generation. That was my parents, and my father said not one of his friends, he belonged to the local Y. Not one of his friends remained from, not one. And some of them married out.
It was like, it was like this huge wave. And okay, so without going further into that, so he says, like, so Amalek is presenting himself always as, it's a new world. keeping kosher was important a long time ago. Keeping Shabbos was important a long time ago. But it's a new world. Get with it. It's time to be modern and so on, right? When the Reform movement introduced the organ into the synagogue service, right? It was also it's a new world. It's a new world, right? So he says that.
I'm counting the amount of times that your Reform movement brought up.
No, because you didn't need him. Maybe you did. We had this. We had a Reform rabbi studying with us. Last week. You met him, Bert? Rabbi Siegel. Yeah.
A bunch of classes with him.
Yeah, that's right. They initially, where they're at today compared to when they started is like a huge gap. It's very, very, very different, but it's or communism. Communism is also about communism is also about what was communism all about? Who was so behind it? It was the Jewish people. Yeah, but I'm not talking about just the social. I'm not talking just about the economics of it. I'm talking about the motivation of the Jewish people to end that chapter in our history of being attacked all the time, pogrom after pogrom after pogrom, and they thought that we got to find some new way of living so that this constant persecution is going to be over. Okay. It was, and I'm not being judgmental. I'm just talking about a people, good people, who had the best intentions in the world. Good people. So Amalek is coming and saying it's a new world. Drop it, drop your past. So he says that Moshe Rabbeinu, we're 6 lines from the bottom. Moshe Rabbeinu, when Moshe Rabbeinu Amad al Har Sinai, Zehaya Matov, when he was standing on Mount Sinai, it was sweet. But it's a new world today, right? You ever hear the explanation about, some people say, the reason that we weren't allowed to eat pork was because there was a disease called trichinosis, but they've overcome that, and that it's okay now, right? It's like saying, once upon a time it was important to keep kosher, but it's not anymore, So evil wants to separate us from God, because he's saying, look, there's all these new things in the world. When you're flying in a 747, you don't need to believe in God. When you were riding on a camel, it was okay to believe in God then. It's a lot safer on a camel, I think, no? Than a 747.
You're probably not going to get stuck in the desert on a plane.
You're already into Purim, I see.
Wait,
No, that's good. So he's הדבר הכי יפה בעולם הוא שהעולם תמיד מתחדש. Now, one of the most beautiful things about the world is that the world is constantly being renewed, right? You say that in the prayers every day. המחדש וטבו בכל יום תמיד. God is renewing the world every day. Every moment, God is continuously speaking the words of creation. And it's only because God is speaking the words of creation at every moment that the world is actually in existence at this moment, right? הרע רוצה לקחת את החידוש הזה, so evil wants to take this newness ולהפריד אותנו מהשם, and use it to separate us from God. פורים הוא היום היחיד שאנחנו לוקחים את כל החידוש Purim is the day that we take all the newness, and when we say, because of this constant newness and this constant renewal, that's why I want to be a servant of God. Right? Why am I a little bit sad? Because at some point I wanted to be good. And I prayed so intensely. And it looked like God didn't care. He didn't answer my prayers. I tried so hard. Years already I'm trying to be better, and it doesn't seem to be working. The strongest thing is that on Purim I realize it's not true. I am improving. Hashem shamat kol tfilotai. I realized that God did hear all my prayers. The Purim and Purim I recognize, I absorb. I realize that I am really close to God. And I realize that God was listening to me the entire time. In the dimension in the telephone, imagine I'm talking on the phone, and I think that he hung up. And then I realized I wasn't even talking to him on the phone. I was in fact talking to him face to face. He was there with me the entire time. Right? That's what we realize in Purim. I thought that Hashem was not listening to me. Then I realized Hashem was there the entire time. Right? And there's a parable that I once heard. This guy's walking with his father, and there's two sets of footprints all along the way, and then at one point it's just one set of footprints, and then there's two again, and so the guy says, "You see, you left me. There's only one set of footprints." He says, "No, at that point I was carrying you."
Wait, what?
He says, "You abandoned me." So he says, the father says, "No, I was carrying you at that point." Right? In other words, we spoke about this, that God's name doesn't appear in the Megillah, right? And Reb Shlomo explained that a divine name is basically sort of like a code letting us know how Hashem is manifesting to us at a particular time. Like Yud Kei Vav Kei is telling us that God is relating with us with the attribute of compassion. Elohim is usually the attribute of judgment and severity. So how do you express God's infinite presence in words? And the answer is by not writing any name.
There's a spot in Megillah where it says where it's mentioned, because in the rest of Tanakh it refers to Jerusalem as Shalem, and with one yud, in Jerusalem with one yud. In the Megillah, it actually is the only spot that has two yuds. Where it mentions the Shem name.
But in Yehudim, you talking
Yeah,
about?
it says they lived in Jerusalem, two yuds. You're looking at.
You have to look for it. But that's also, it's an illusion. There's a lot of places in the Megillah.
I mean, it's a code.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but it's not the name. You know what I mean?
Not the name.
Yeah. So he says, Esther and Mordechai yasdu et Chag HaPurim. Esther and Mordechai established the holiday of Purim. Shnei bnei Adam, two people. Harbe anashim omrim, a lot of people say, Im hayiti shomea zot yashar me'Hashem hayiti ma'amin. A lot of people often say, if I would hear the Torah directly from God, I would believe it. But if I hear it from another person, I don't want to believe it. That's a bad strategy. How do you want God to speak to you? on my iPhone, right? How do you want God to speak to you, right? Maybe God is talking to you through Esther and Mordechai, right? הקדושה של פורים היא שזה החג הראשון שנוסד על ידי שני יהודים מרדכי ואסתר. The holiness of Purim is that it's the first holiday that was established by two Jews, Mordechai and Esther. אנחנו מאמינים להם, and we're trusting them. אנחנו יודעים שהשם מדבר אלינו דרכם, and we know that God is speaking to us through them. ברגע שאתה מקשיב לאנשים, as soon as you learn how to listen properly to people, ואתה יודע שהשם מדבר אליך דרכם, and you know that God is communicating to you through people, יש כל כך הרבה אהבה באוויר, then there's so much, don't worry about it, it's okay. It's going to take off soon. When you listen carefully to what people are saying to you, or what is being said, you know that God is speaking to you through them. Now, how to interpret what's being said, that's a different question. But then you experience that you really experience that you're not alone, that there's so much love in the air. אם אני ממש מאמין שבכל מילה שאני שומע יש מסר מהשם, if I really believe, page 35, that in every word there's a message from God, אז אין יותר רע בעולם, so then there's no more evil in the world. Right? That's sort of like a pretty intense statement. Because you do hear people spewing some pretty nasty things into the world, right? You do hear some pretty nasty things all the time. Hatred, incitement, and so on. But if you understand that as Hashem is communicating to us, it's like Hashem is sort of like screaming and saying, we better do something about this and to make it better. Okay? So Purim הוא החג הגדול שאנחנו מקשיבים אחד לחברו. Purim is the great holiday that we listen to one another. אנחנו שותים, we drink, אנחנו יודעים שכל מה שאנחנו שומעים הוא מסר קטן מהשם, and we realize that everything that we're hearing is a small message from God. It's not always easy to apply this directly, because sometimes, like, somebody will come over and say something terrible to you, and like what was this about, right? I hope it hasn't happened to you, but it's happened, like out of the blue, somebody will just come over and say something disgusting, and so on. So sometimes it's plain and simple Hashem reminding me, you spoke like that to somebody. Like Hashem is saying, I want you to remember that. Think about it. You see what happened to you now? You did that to somebody and you've forgotten about it, and you need to remember, and you got to go and repair that and do a tikkun. You see somebody in the street and, hi, how are you? And you really want to tell them, and you really want to share with them about how you feel, and you realize they don't care whatsoever. It's a little bit of a message. It could be interpreted in many ways. One of them is like, that are you sincere when you say, hi, how are you? Are you sincere when you talk that way, right? So it's a matter of, like, what kind of consciousness are you willing to be open to experience this, and to realize that Hashem is there with us, is here with us all the time. Okay. Now, if we would really realize that, we would be besimcha. We would really rejoice all the time. Okay? We really would. problem is that we sort of so to speak put God into a box. And we say we set conditions on what we consider to be a real relationship with God, and what not. Like, when you'll give me this and you'll give me that and you'll give me that, I'll be really happy. But if you don't give me this and you don't give me that, I'm not going to be happy with what you. But is God good or is God not good? Right? If God is good, not independent of my definitions of what's good. Independent of my definitions of what's good. I told you that it's a cute story. I have a friend in Teaneck. So he says to me one day, he says, "Did you ever say Hallelujah for 45 minutes on your knees, like saying to God, Haidul Hashem Ki Tov, I love you, God, I love you, I love you." So I said, "Yeah, let's hear the story." So he said he used to be like, you know the story already? He used to be like very addicted to lottery tickets. And every week he'd buy quite a few lottery tickets. And one week there was like the big prize was 65 million or whatever it was. Anyway, he was good friends with the Chabad Shaliach and the Chabad Rabbi in Teaneck. And you can get, huh?
There's Chabad Rabbi.
Yeah, there's a Chabad house there, yeah. And the you can get these fake newspaper pages printed.
Wait,
And it looks like a real newspaper page, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the rabbi knew that every Wednesday morning, the first thing that my friend would do is like go at 5 o'clock in the morning to the driveway and pick up the newspaper and see if he won the lottery. So the rabbi went ahead, he got hold of his numbers, and he had a fake page printed.
That's ridiculous.
And he put in his numbers,
Oh man, that's so mean.
Wait, what were the
Let me
other?
finish the
What
story.
were
You're already judging it.
what were the other headlines? Like
The
we read
same,
up
the
the whole.
same,
we
no,
read up the whole.
he kept the same headline,
Everything
just
else
changed the
was
numbers.
Okay, maybe there's more.
Just
How did
changed the
you figure out
numbers.
the headlines?
I don't know.
Beforehand?
I'll give you his name and his number.
Here, I'll deliver the paper.
He somehow he did it, okay? Anyway,
That's it.
And he managed to do it somehow. I don't know how.
Okay, I believe. I have faith that you did.
He said, my friend says he went out there, he picked up the paper, he looked at the numbers, he couldn't believe it, and he says he was saying Hallel on his knees for 45 minutes straight. The biggest miracle of the story is that when the rabbi told him the truth, they were in the mikveh, and that he didn't kill him, and they're still best friends. Okay, they're still best friends. He what do you call it? And he's grateful that the guy broke his addiction. In any case, so the reason I told you that story is that like something like that happens, and you can think like, wow, I'm going to kill this guy, right? I'm going to kill this guy. But look at what he did to me. And on the other hand, you can say, wait a minute, Hashem is behind it. Hashem is present in all of this, right? What was the message? What were you trying to tell me? And that's so we go through. I hope that you don't, but many of us go through some really difficult things in life, and one of the questions that we have to confront is: do I trust that Hashem is involved in everything that happens in life, and that everything that happens in my life? And if I do, or if at least I could say I would like to believe that, that's also a level of belief. Then another question that we confront is: well, then, do I trust that everything that God put me through is also, do I trust that everything that God does is good, is for the good? Okay? That everything is for the good. And again, if you can get to the level where you could say, I would like to believe that, that's also a level of belief. And then if you can get to that place, then you could say, okay, God, what were you trying to teach me? And if that question is sincere, you're gonna get a pretty quick answer. Okay? Like what? Because if God wants to teach me something, He's not like my school teachers who gave up on me after 5 minutes. So when God wants to teach me something, He's going to continue teaching me until I get it, and until I get it. So if I don't get it, after the first lesson, it's going to be repeated and repeated and repeated until I get it, and usually more harshly, until I actually listen, right? And that's like very often when people when do people change? When they face a crisis, right? All of a sudden, you can't figure out. It doesn't make sense anymore according to everything according to the way you saw everything, according to the way you understood the world, and you realize it's time to go back to the drawing board and look at everything again. Very good. Okay. So tomorrow, please come for the music, okay?
Oh, it's tomorrow.
12:30.
What is tomorrow?
Wednesdays, I'm going to be going to the men's basement, Midrash.